You are Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, just one of those nights for the Celtics, right? Jayson Tatum out, Sam Hauser out, and the Celtics take care of business against a team that has really a long way to go when it comes to where the Celtics currently are. Pistons may never get there. Pritchard White helped lead the Celtics to a convincing win, again, with Jayson Tatum held out of the lineup. Celtics never trailed after the second quarter, now 3-0 on the season against Detroit. With that, we welcome you to our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime college basketball play-by-play announcer, former host on ESPN Radio and satellite radio. You are right where you need to be. You're locked on with the Locked On Celtics postcast. We are providing reaction to every Celtics game on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as well as the Locked On Celtics podcast feed, which you know is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and where John Corrales also has Locked On Celtics. With our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to discuss Jayson Tatum being held out of the lineup. We're going to discuss something that we discuss most nights. Payton Pritchard, hot from downtown. Pritchard, White, both knocking down 7 threes, and it was Payton Pritchard with a game high for the Celtics. We do want to hear from you, our everydayers and our first-timers. You can join the conversation if you're watching live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Join the conversation, hit the comment button, and chit-chat. Talk to us about the Celtics' latest win, their 20th on the season. You can also hit me up on the X at Lennox on Hoops with questions, comments, or concerns. We do encourage you to follow the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, also on the X, again, at Lennox on Hoops. And our latest episode of the Locked On Celtics postcast presented by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Again, we are presented by Game Time. So as we get going, Celtics cruise to the victory. Great night against the Detroit Pistons. No Jayson Tatum, no Sam Hauser. I'm a little concerned Jayson Tatum, after a lengthy stay between games, hadn't played since last Saturday, losing at home against the Memphis Grizzlies, where Tatum is held out. But then again, you're playing just twice in about an 11-day period. Don't play again until Sunday. Then next week, a home and home. I love the home and homes when it's in one city, then another. They'll do that against the Bulls next week, just before the Christmas holiday. But Tatum held out. Okay. Once we get to the Bulls next week, I'm hoping that Tatum is fine and good to go for a while. Missing his second game in 4, and just his second game overall in the season. But when I saw that he was questionable on the NBA injury report, then saw that he was out, it's like, okay, there was a stay off here. What is this injury? What is significant with this injury for Jayson Tatum? We'll get into that. But the Celtics, again, trailed by 2 in the first quarter, up 27-16 after the first, as we sort of do a little recap here. Hey, slow start for both teams out of the gate in terms of scoring. And you thought it's just going to be an ugly night overall. Well, it was an ugly night for the Pistons. Again, Celtics trailed by just 2 points in that first quarter. I think there were 8 lead changes in the first quarter, but the Pistons were 0 for 12 on threes. Talk about ugly. 0 for 12 behind the three-point arc in the first quarter. The Celtics, even if they, were 5 or 6 below their season average, and they weren't, they hit the 20 mark in terms of made threes in the fourth quarter. But it was just one of those nights where you had a feeling. Celtics up 27-16 after the first. They never trailed again. Led by as many as 11 in that first quarter. And Luke Kornet, 3 for 3 from the field, couple of free throws, 8 points plus 11 in the first quarter for Kornet for the Celtics. And you just thought, you know what? It's going to be one of those nights. KP had 7 in the first quarter. Joe Mazzulla using Kornet, Pritchard, and Drew Peterson. They all saw time off the bench in the first quarter as well. Second quarter, Celtics, again, just kind of adding to the lead. Up by plenty, up by 11, double-digit lead after the first quarter, up by 15 at the half as well. And the Pistons from behind the three-point line, they kept putting them up, but they didn't really get much better. 2 of 19 in the first half from behind the three-point line. The Celtics never trailed in the second, led by as many as 17, and led for over 20 minutes in the first half against the Pistons. One of the great numbers that I saw from the first half, and I knew it was a high number, but once we got to halftime Thursday night, 18 assists on 22 made field goals over the first 24 minutes for the Celtics. And how about Jaylen Brown? No Tatum. Again, a game where it's just, hey, next man up, and guys take advantage of opportunities of getting perhaps more shots on their resume than what they're usually accustomed to. Jaylen Brown had 4 points at the half. He did not have a single three-point attempt, and he also did not get to the free throw line in the first half as well. But the 4 points I mentioned, he also had 6 rebounds and 5 assists. So he was doing other things along with defending on the other end. But Pritchard really got going in the second quarter. Pritchard, again, I mentioned the 18 assists. Pritchard and Brown both had 5 assists apiece in the first quarter. That's telling you something about what the Celtics were able to do. Late in the quarter, and this is where I'll share, didn't watch the game because it's on NBA TV. I do NBA League Pass. I don't have NBC Sports Boston on my cable package. That may change in the future, as I'm still, one of those people who won't cut the cord with cable. But I saw it on social media. I saw it on the XKP big block in the final minute of the second quarter. And the Celtics finished that second quarter on a 22-11 run. So instead of NBC Sports Boston or even NBA TV, I don't know why NBA TV is blocked out for me. Blocked out. When the Celtics are on there. But they are. So I listen to 98.5 The Sports Hub, Grandy and Cedric Maxwell. And we will continue doing our sort of broadcaster observations of the night. That coming up in segment number 2 and a couple of numbers of the night as well. But the Celtics, again, point here. Celtics up plus 30-plus point lead. Pistons closed out, you can say strong, I guess. They did not reach 100 points. That'll be part of numbers of the night coming up in segment number 3. But the Celtics got the lead up to 20. Tobias Harris was called for a technical foul. It was Kristaps Porzingis hitting the technical foul free throw, up 20 in the third quarter, up 93-68 after 3. Celtics are 20-5. Why do I bring that up right now? Could be part of numbers of the night. Same spot they were last year, 20-5 through their first 25 games. And again, when was the last time the Celtics lost 2 in a row? That will be part of numbers of the night coming up in segment number 3, because they have not lost 2 in a row at any point this season. 5 losses, rebound and respond with a victory in the next game as well. So Celtics just cruise to the victory. Again, plus 11 after 1, 15-point lead going into the locker room at halftime, and extended it, outscored the Pistons 34-24 in the third quarter, plus 25. Got it over 30 in that fourth quarter. 8 lead changes in the first quarter. Not a single lead change the rest of the way. Again, if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, thank you very much. Let's hit the comment button. You can join the conversation by hitting the comment button and sharing your thoughts. We kick it off with Accidental Migrant. Great win. Great to see you again. Oh, I appreciate that. Great seeing you too, Accidental Migrant. Appreciate you always checking in. If you don't know, Accidental Migrant is becoming one of our everydayers. And he's checking, and Accidental Migrant is checking in from Auckland, New Zealand. So, Accidental Migrant, that's what we're doing right here. Opening segment, we're filling you in. No Tatum, no Hauser off the bench, no problem for the Celtics. Now 3-0 on the season against Detroit. This game was when the Celtics didn't make it to the knockout round. Are you paying attention to the knockout round of the NBA Cup? I had Knicks Hawks on for a little while last night. Didn't watch it the rest of the way. Tat for music. Everyone except Kata played well. What a fun game to watch. Yeah, and again, you're doing it without your superstar and one of your top players off the bench. We all know KP missed the start of the season. Kata had some great moments. He had some great games during that stretch where KP was coming back from his injury. I believe in Neemias Queta. I believe he's got a bright future. I believe, and when I put that, I also include in there, hey, that guy's going to make himself some money in the NBA. It may not be with the Celtics in the future. So, but this is still a guy who's, 25 years old? There's some inconsistencies. He did see a little time on the floor. Again, I did not watch the game. I heard it on radio with Grandy and Cedric Maxwell. But I'm a Queta fan. I really am. And as they were describing it at one point with KP and Queta on the floor together, Tat for music, I'm a Queta fan. And there was a stretch where I don't know where KP was on the floor, but with KP and Kada on the floor, he can roam a little bit. He can extend himself because you can make up for his deficiency if, a man beats him or if he goes for a block on, another teammate's offensive player, things like that. And even on the offensive boards, he can sort of go crash and grab a rebound or a follow-up dunk. It didn't seem like it was his best game. Again, I didn't watch it, but listen to it. Heard his name a couple of times. Got onto the floor in the second quarter along with Jordan Walsh. But Kada is going to be one of those guys right now. It's not feast or famine, but you can live with the inconsistency. And during the time early on in the season when he was getting minutes, and again, he's had a couple of DNPs in there, but when he was getting minutes, he was consistent. How you can get him back to being that off the bench, and I mean, this is the NBA champion Celtics issue right now. We're talking about Kada and Tat for Music. I agree with you. I'm a big fan. There's more in there. There really is. Mike checking in. This team looked rested, yes. Kept the foot on the gas pedal and ran away with it. Not much to say about this game besides the injury concerns. Keep an eye on it. Absolutely. Mike's got it around the league for us. We'll do that in the second segment as well. Again, if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, talking about the Celtics' lopsided win over the Pistons, join the conversation. Hit the comment button right there on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. But I'll tell you what, it's one of the things, and I've mentioned this before with the Celtics, couple of days off, no rust. Couple of days off, you don't have your top performer and Jayson Tatum, your leading scorer, in the lineup. It didn't matter. And there aren't a lot of, it's tough to deal with success. And I sort of failed to mention it on Saturday in the game against Memphis. And I opened up by saying I'm on some shows in Memphis with ESPN Radio, locally in Memphis, Tennessee. The guy who hired me, Brad Carson, texted me during our last Locked On Celtics postcast and saying, the Celtics are going to get the best performance. They got the best performance. They got extended minutes from their stars the other night. Ja Morant, right? Jaren Jackson Jr. Both played well. Both played extended minutes. And they beat the Celtics. Okay, Memphis, a very good team. Celtics got the Grizzlies' best performance of the season. That was from Brad Carson. But the Celtics in these situations don't hit a bump in the road. They don't let success go to their heads. Yes, they have 5 losses on the season. They're still the second team in the NBA to reach 20 wins. Cavaliers the first, right? But there's no goose egg for the Celtics. And it's almost, and I don't know if this has been a storyline or not. I'm sure they know it. Hey, we lost the game. Don't make it 2 in a row. Right? And they haven't to this point in the season. And we have not come on here. We've done, 23 out of 25 now? We've not come on here and say, hey, we're disappointed with the effort. We're disappointed that 3 guys were, we're talking about Kada, guy off the bench in the second quarter. What Pritchard did, what White did, 7 threes apiece, both 20-plus. I mean, Jaylen Brown. Okay, Jaylen Brown, again, may have not scored big-time points, but if you watch the game and you see a guy like Brown making winning plays and doing other things in the box score that don't show up in the box score, that's the Celtics. I don't think once we've talked about poor effort from the Celtics. Each loss so far this season, you can dissect them in a different way. But remember, we're talking about 5 losses. We can go back to the Indiana loss where they lost in overtime and they made a big comeback, right? And I don't know. I know I'm going back to Saturday. I think John Corrales made mention of it. Ran out of gas late in the fourth quarter. Agree to disagree, or, I don't put a lot into that because they had the lead in the fourth quarter. Yes, athletically, Memphis first to the ball a lot. But in this victory, the way you come back and just take care of the Pistons and you don't give them an opportunity to get back into the game, think about that third quarter as they extended the lead. Every team in the NBA makes a run. The Celtics, on many occasions this year, have not allowed that. You think, okay, they're probably going to get it below 15. No, they didn't. And they did not reach 100. And on the extended run late in the game, okay, they're putting things together. They still don't reach 100. Well, they score 8 in a row, I think, to finish up or close to it. So again, I tip my cap to the Celtics because we haven't had a goose egg this season. Tatum out, not a problem. From downtown, Pistons were dreadful. Again, 0 for 12 in the first quarter. That sort of set the tone for the night. They did not get going. Beasley did not have a good game after having a couple of impressive games in the previous outings against the Celtics, including last week in Boston. And Luke Kornet, again, a guy whose minutes diminished with KP coming back. Not a problem. Kornet goes out there and gives you a Luke Kornet performance. And then Pritchard with the 3's. 23s total, 7 apiece for the two big guys. We get more into your comments coming up in segment number 2. Broadcaster observations of the night. Mike Driscoll has a random thought and an NBA note as well. We get to that next right here. Locked on Celtics Postcast. And we are presented by Game Time. Take a moment and salute our everydayers and our first-timers as well. Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day. Again, presented by Game Time. Game Time has tickets for all events, not just sports. So if you're looking at an upcoming concert, maybe in the new year or show, visit Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. What is Game Time Picks, you may ask? Well, Game Time Picks makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks is able to filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you do not have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Game Time featuring all-in pricing. By toggling this feature, it will show you the total up front. And with that, no surprise fees at checkout. Game Time also features seat views. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you make your purchase. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use code LOCKEDON Celtics Postcast for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms do apply. Create your account, redeem Locked On Celtics Postcast for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, again, keep the comments coming. If you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, Celtics again picking up the victory at home against the Detroit Pistons. Numbers of the night involving the Pistons and the Celtics win streak against Detroit coming up in just a moment. Throw this out there for you. Again, didn't view the game, listen to the game, but I did go back. Sean Grandy talked about, I think, Sidney Lowe, and was talking about college basketball with Cedric Maxwell at some point in time. And, they were going back to the 80s. And, of course, if you're going back to the 80s, you're thinking Celtics and Pistons. As you're watching Celtics and Pistons at any point this season, did you go back to a different era? McHale, Bird, Parrish against Lambeer, Isaiah, Joe Dumars, Vinnie Johnson, Mahorn, Rodman, all those guys. Hey, we do want to acknowledge our everydayers for making the Locked On Celtics Postcast and Locked On Celtics with John Corrales their first listen every day. Celtics again picking up the victory. And again, Detroit, this should be part of numbers tonight, but we're going to give it right here. Detroit giving up 20 or more threes in a game for the 6th time this year. Just the 6th time this season. And I think they fall to 10 and 16 on the year with the loss Thursday night. They've given up 20 or more threes in a game 6 times this season, and in all 3 meetings with the Celtics. Cade Cunningham, nice number. Coming off a triple-double last time out and a win in New York against the Knicks. That was last Saturday, and I believe that was a game that Mike Driscoll was at as well. Cunningham's a fun player to watch, but you just you forget about him. I mean, he got his numbers. He was close to a triple-double. I think he had 8 boards, 8 assists in the game. We'll check on that. But Malik Beasley, a guy, 13 threes his previous 2 games and 6 against the Celtics, and then 7 against the Knicks this past Saturday. So those the previous couple of games for Beasley. But again, this is a Detroit team that just absolutely 7 of 37. They committed to shooting 3-pointers. But Beasley overall for the game. And I got to, actually, that's his full total line right there. Malik Beasley, just 7 shot attempts, 2 of 7, 0 of 3, and 5 points. That's the total for Malik Beasley. So again, the Celtics, you've seen this team now 3 times. You just saw them last week. You've got the scouting report, and you sort of go from there as well. But the way the Celtics played, and they took away the 3 and knocked down 20 themselves. So the Celtics as a team, 20 of 48. What was the number? 60 plus 60, right on the number 60, or 61 or 62 against Memphis last Saturday. 48 attempts and 41.7%, 51.1% overall for the Celtics. They had 6 players in double figures, all 6 of those players in double figures going to the fourth quarter as well. So again, 20th win on the season, same spot you were a year ago at 20-5 through your first 25 games. Tat for music. KP's passing seems to be improving. He had a couple of great dimes tonight. How lucky are we as fans? Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit, and again, you want Porzingis to stay healthy. At no point this year have we talked about a Celtics player expected to miss an extended period of time. Yes, Porzingis missed an extended period of time to open up the season. Guys have missed a couple of games here and there. Nothing that's been too serious. Even when Brown missed some games, Joe Mazzulla said he's doing what he needs to do to get back. And then he got back in the lineup, right? Right now, you're affording guys opportunities to take a night off just for that rest. I was never a believer in it. It's an 82-game schedule. It's over the course of a long period of time from now, late October into April. But watching this Celtics team and understanding what the goal is, and that's the goal simply is back-to-back NBA titles and a 19th in franchise history come next spring. Take a game off, no problem. Tat for music, Porzingis is a good passer. He'll throw a ball away every once in a while. But for a big man, he's got that skill as well. Average to a tick or two above average as a passer for a big man, that's saying something. And I think Porzingis is that. I don't really have a lot of NBA random thoughts. I gave you the NBA Cup thing. Again, I don't know that this thing has legs long term because until you get to the semifinals and finals, are we even just trying to trying to create drama? And again, this is created because we want NBA regular season games to be competitive. Light night on the scoreboard. Miami winning at home against Toronto. I really thought the Raptors at some point, maybe not to 500, but a team that could get back in the vicinity of 500, and it just doesn't look like they get there. It really, it just doesn't. They've been dreadful on the road, and they're now 7-19 on the season with a loss in Miami to the Heat on Thursday night. Just one win on the road in 13 games so far this season. I still think they can be a dangerous team on any given night, but they've dug themselves into a huge, huge hole. Let's get to Mike Driscoll's around the league thought. Mike has the West is going to be separated. Is going to be a separate discussion, but for the East contenders, is there a trade big enough that can happen from these recent rumors where the C's need to be concerned? It's a good one because Jimmy Butler seems to be on his way out in Miami at some point here before the deadline in February. And with the rumors, Mike, I've been thinking a little bit about what would the Celtics even add? If there's a guy who's let go by an organization, do you just try to pick them up to keep them away from another team in the East? I'm not sure. Can you try to keep a player away if he's let go by an organization from the Cavaliers? The Celtics don't need anything right now. Now that could change. That could change, right? We know why. And I don't want to say because of injuries, but that could change because of injuries. Now all of a sudden you need to go out and get a piece. But as we've seen, Celtics are deep, they're talented, and guys who have gotten opportunities when their numbers have been called, they've come up. Now, can they do that over a consistent period of time? Maybe. Even when Payton Pritchard got off to his great start to the season, I'm thinking, and I said it out loud, is this sustainable? Well, it's now sustainable through 7 games for Payton Pritchard. More on Pritchard coming up in Numbers of the Night, and that is next. Locked On Celtics postcast. Oh, I forgot observation of the night for the broadcaster. Get to that in a minute. Got distracted. Not blaming Mike, I promise. Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day, presented by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you pick up a win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get that hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You will get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, speaking of the NFL, I am going to go back and I'm going to do real quick broadcaster observation of the night. Again, 98.5, the Sports Hub with Sean Grande and with Cedric Maxwell. Cedric Maxwell, they got into Bill Belichick, now the head coach at North Carolina, going the college route. Cedric Maxwell would not share his thoughts on Bill Belichick. I'll leave it right there. And finally, so did Sean Grande on Thursday night. Grande in the third quarter, as the Celtics were continuing to build on their lead and got it to 30 plus in that fourth quarter. Grande basically saying in that third, too many weapons. That's what we've been talking about. Too many weapons for the Celtics, even on a night where their top player, Jayson Tatum, is held out of the lineup. Again, Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day as we hit numbers of the night here. Celtics have now won 12 straight against Detroit. They're 3-0 against the Pistons this season. Celtics have not lost 2 in a row since late in the regular season last spring. You have to go back to April. At Milwaukee, losing to the Bucks on April 9th, then losing at home to the Knicks on April 11th. That's the last time they lost 2 straight games. They lost 2 in a row on 4 different occasions last year. Never lost more than 2 straight. The last time the Celtics lost 3 in a row, March of the 22-23 NBA season. I don't know where they are in terms of what a record would be there for you, but that's just impressive. This team, I mean, you're going. I know you probably go back to Golden State and say probably similar. You know, they didn't. I could go back and look at a couple of years there with the Golden State Warriors and probably come up with that as well. Payton Pritchard, numbers of the night, 10th time this season with 20 or more. Led the team outright in scoring for the first time this season, by the way. And Pritchard now, his last 8 games, I have this right. Last 8 games, add 7 more threes to his total. Last 8 games, 39 made threes, approaching 100 made threes for the season. And he's now hit 5 or more threes in a game 12 times this year. Outstanding. And Derrick White, knocking down 7 threes. Again, radio, not TV. But Derrick White, 7 threes, second on the team in scoring on Thursday night in the 123-99 victory against the Detroit Pistons. The Celtics' biggest lead, 32 points in that fourth quarter. Out-rebounding Detroit 51-43 overall. But Derrick White, 30-plus minutes, 7 of 13, 7 of 12 on 3. So he missed his only shot attempt inside the three-point line. He was 2 of 2 at the line, 23 points total. Again, 6 players in double figures. All 6 were in double figures going to the fourth quarter for the Celtics. But Derrick White is – look, at some point during the Red Sox regular season, this past season, it was Jaren Duran needs to be voted in as a starter for the All-Star team. And I made the point. And it was Duran needs to be a starter in the All-Star game, and everyone was saying that. I said, I don't want Jaren Duran to be a starter in the Major League Baseball All-Star game. And I said this before the All-Star break. I want him to come in as a replacement and have some sort of positive outcome on the game. And that happened. And I am boasting about that to this day, just a handful of days before the Christmas holiday. Duran, in case you're not a Red Sox fan, homered in that All-Star game in Arlington, Texas, was the MVP of the game. The conversation has to be started on social media by the Celtics organization, by fans. Derrick White needs to be on the All-Star team this year. Absolutely 100% needs to be an Eastern Conference All-Star. Now, is he going to be named to the original team? I don't know. But we know when the original All-Star team is announced, a handful of guys aren't going to make the team. If Derrick White has to go in as a replacement, I don't care. Derrick White needs to be in the All-Star game representing the Celtics, representing the Eastern Conference. I'm steadfast now in that, and I'm taking that going forward. Absolutely 100%. White's numbers, they're terrific. He's now got 89 threes on the season. 89. And 7 threes in a game for the third time this season. I'm not just talking about his three-point shooting. It's what he does on the defensive end, what he does overall. Derrick White deserves to be an all-star. Absolutely 100%. I am making that argument the rest of the way. Mike, John, referring to John Corrales, had a great segment on the podcast where we as fans just need to ride this wave and enjoy what we are seeing. This is truly a special team with the records and even that consecutive loss stat. Yeah, appreciate it, Mike. Did not hear that one with John. But 100%, it's appreciate this right now. It's Red Sox fans appreciating the Red Sox going out and getting Garrett Crochet and not beeping about it, right? Not complaining about it. Not expletive bleeping about it. Enjoy this. And I think you enjoy this with this team intact right now. Again, I'm not talking salaries for the future or anything like that. That's above my pay grade, right? I'm not a member of the Celtics front office. Brad Stevens, his crew, they'll figure that out. But yeah, the expectation right now, and it's not outrageous, is back-to-back NBA championships. And you go back and you see along the lines of what teams who have had great stretches. The Celtics team I'll put up against any team that's won a couple of championships in a row in the last couple of decades. They're right there. They're right there. And 2 in a row or 3 in the next 4 or 5 years is not outlandish to think right now. As long as you stay healthy, as long as if somebody exits and goes somewhere else, you have to replace them. And you have to trust this front office, this coaching staff, that everyone does their job and it leads to this. So far, there's nothing where you can say, well, they need this or need. No, right now, this team intact has plenty to make a deep run, get back to the NBA Finals, and then go from there as well. What's on tap? A couple more days off. Not in action now until Sunday against the Wizards in D.C., 6 p.m. Eastern tip. Then a home and home. Again, I like those. The 2 games in Charlotte a while back, okay. But a home and home, Celtics host the Bulls next Thursday, the 19th, and then they're in Chicago 2 nights later on Saturday, December 21. Then you've got Orlando. I don't know if Banchero or Franz Wagner are going to be back in time for that game. And then you've got the Sixers on Christmas night. We're already there. We're there. We're now there. And before you know, we're going to be at the midpoint of the NBA season. January is going to be a bear for the Celtics. But we see how it works out. Hey, as always, tip of the cap and a thank you. A gracious thank you to everyone on board with the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Again, we always love the comments, audience participation. Not only appreciated, but at this point in time, you guys are doing a wonderful job joining us, and it's consistent with the banter back and forth. I appreciate it. I love it, and I hope I love it as much, if not more. And I convey that to you as we've got Mike, we've got Accidental Migrant, we've got a lot of different people who are becoming everydayers, and it is greatly appreciated. Reminder, your favorite podcast, now a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Celtics Daily Newsletter. One stop for the ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. You can sign up for free right now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And you can start your day with all the latest news and information with the free Locked On Celtics newsletter. Also, appreciate our sponsors. Couldn't do it without you. Supporting us. Support our sponsors is also supporting us with Locked On, Tip of the Cap to Game Time, and FanDuel. Hey, it's been a few days, Saturday to Thursday, now Thursday to Sunday. Enjoy the time off. Celtics will be back at it, and the schedule turns in January. We're going to be talking about a lot of Western Conference opponents at that point in time. We do thank you for making Locked On Celtics with John Corrales and the Locked On Celtics postcast your first listen every day. And we do always like to remind you, the podcast available wherever you get your podcast as well. And we go live within minutes of the final buzzer after each and every Celtics game, or most Celtics game. We will be missing one right after the Christmas holiday, but we'll touch on that another time. Do appreciate you being with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Locked On Sports Boston, number one place to hang out immediately after every game. Locked On Sports, your team, your Celtics, every day.